I have been, and always shall be, your friend. Live long. And listen to Cosmere Chronicles, the podcast where we follow two first-time readers, Sheta and Justin, who chronicle their journey through Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere series. On today's episode, we'll be chronicling Mistborn, the Hero of Ages, chapters 20 through 27. So now, let's throw it over to the host of Cosmere Chronicles. This is Joe.
Thank you, Joe. Yep, once again, you heard it's Cosmere Chronicles, but sadly, I'm going to have to announce this is the final episode of Cosmere Chronicles. Next week, we are switching the show to being a brony podcast, where I will be watching My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic for the first time, while Justin Sheta will be leading the discussion.
Yeah.
We are?
Fun. Okay, I'm down.
Yep.
That's quite a pivot.
yeah.
That's all I can say.
Joe's never seen it, so that would be a great show.
I mean, I have seen it. I don't know that I would define myself as a brony, though.
Oh,
I
don't
don't
be
know
shy,
if I'm comfortable
Justin.
with that label.
We'll be going through, and how many episodes of that are there? Like 30?
I believe
Good
there's
amount.
quite a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Well, see, we can make the podcast last for a while. So,
Honestly, Joe, I think you would love the new Friendship is Magic.
you know what? Never mind. No podcast of My Little Pony. We're back to Cosmere stuff.
Well, I guess the dream can't come true.
All right. So back to slightly normal stuff. We will this week for questions at the beginning. Instead of just asking like questions about what they like, I decided instead we'll ask for a recommendation that we'll give you, the listeners. So that way you can decide, we'll give you some stuff. Maybe you want to check it out. So first I will open it up to like a book series or a book that you want to recommend for people.
A book series or a book. Sounds good. For some reason, I heard a comma between the first book and series and was very confused.
All right. I would recommend reading the Witcher series. It's you probably play or heard of the video game or the Netflix show, but the books are very good. Some probably my favorite modern fantasy book series. So I highly, highly recommend check it out if you are into fantasy, like fantasy action, and yeah, it's just very good. Some of the best fighting sequences I've ever heard or read.
And I think I'll recommend one everyone in the world has heard, but most people haven't bothered to read, which is 1984. And that is because if you like the dystopian elements of this book, most dystopian fiction comes from there. You've got the totalitarian elements of the Lord Ruler, and you've got some of the people elements of the citizen that we're just doing right now. So if you haven't taken the time to read that one yet, it's not very long. Go give it a read.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it's even required reading anymore at school.
That's absurd. It wasn't for us. I never had to read it in school.
I think some classes read it, depending on the teacher.
Well, those ones were lucky.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. You have a teacher who actually gives a crap, and they'll say, have an actual reading. Like, you have to read at least 3 books this semester, or at least 1.
Yeah, all right. Well, my recommendation will be a little bit different. Japanese fantasy light novel series. It's called Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Now, the title is very misleading. To let you know, that's not the title the author came up with. His title was Familia Myth. The publishers decided to give it the other title in order to get more people to buy the books. That is not what the book is really about.
What's the real title?
So he originally wanted to call it Familia Myth, which matches the overall plot a lot better.
What does that
Instead,
mean?
it has to do with like gods and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Instead, the book is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? But the books, they're not that big. It's simple reading. It's good fantasy. There are a lot of them. There's a side series, but it's much better than you'd expect with that title. And if people are interested, there's a companion series. I like to go back and forth between them, so I could give you a read order if you want to jump back and forth between the books. All right. So after that, next, give out a recommendation for a movie?
Well, I can start. My movie recommendation is Nightbreed, which is a horror fantasy movie based on a Clive Barker story that has some crazy designs and one of the best masked killers I've ever seen. It's one that most people haven't even heard of, even though it's pretty crazy. Watch the director's cut as well if you can. It has nothing to do with this story or this genre, but it is a fun, awesome, violent movie.
Nice. I'm keeping to the fantasy genre a little bit. I would recommend checking out Legend, the 1985 film by Ridley Scott, starring Tom Cruise and Tim Curry. It's a cult classic, I think, but it's like early Tom Cruise, and it's just actually very good. But do watch the director's cut in the extended cut if you do want to check it out. It's unexpectedly very magical and good, and Tim Curry as the villain in there is chef's kiss.
Yeah,
So
his outfit alone, his costume alone is enough to watch the whole movie. It's got some of the most kick-ass practical effects I've ever seen in that kind of movie.
mhm.
All right, and then for mine, gonna go with an anime movie. Just watched it the first time a couple weeks ago. Don't know why it took me so long to watch it, but the movie is called Your Name. It is a very, very good film. It won a bunch of awards in Japan. At the time it came out, it was the highest grossing animated film in Japanese history, and I think the second highest grossing Japanese film. It has since been passed by the Demon Slayer movie for God knows what reason. And it has like some supernatural fantasy elements in it, some romance elements in it. And to tie it back into the Cosmere, Your Name is one of the things that Brandon Sanderson did say was part of his inspiration for the book Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. So if you've read Yumi and you enjoyed it, go watch the movie Your Name, because you'll get a lot of the same feel and themes in that movie as you got from that book.
Wow.
And there is no director's cut for that, unlike their movie. So
yeah,
and
both of our movies were absolutely butchered by the studios. Pretty much why
Yeah.
nobody heard of them. They got butchered horribly. Everyone was like, what the hell is this? And no one ever thought about it again.
So was the Clive
Yeah.
Barker one before or after the Hellraiser?
I believe it was after.
And I think one
Ooh.
thing all
Go
three of
ahead.
us can agree on, just a recommendation from all of us, just read or watch One Piece. It's
Oh, yeah.
long, but it's well worth it. And if you need to read it, just get the Shonen Jump app, pay $3 a month. There, you can read it.
Oh, wow, did we get sponsored by Shonen Jump finally?
I
No.
don't think so.
Oh.
No, but I've used that app so many times.
I love the Shonen Jump app. It's a great app. Just kidding.
And
I don't
now,
endorse things for free. Clive Barker and the George Orwell estate both endorsed me to pitch those books and movies.
Oh, really? How'd you do
Oh,
that?
They just reached out to me.
Wow. Like, we heard you were going to do a book recommendation and movie, so...
No, they're just like, just in case anyone ever asks for a book recommendation, always pitch this book.
Stupid ass.
man, I just realized my recommendations for One Piece and then my book and movie recommendations now all just make me sound like a weeb.
Yeah,
Weeb.
Joe. I'm gonna say, wow.
That's okay. Me and Sheta's pitches make us sound like hipsters.
Hey, speak for yourself. I sound like a fantasy nerd.
Or you just sound like somebody that loves Henry Cavill.
What? He's not in
And Tom Cruise.
Legend.
Yeah. You just love the Mission Impossible movie.
Don't even say... I did enjoy that one, but I do not enjoy the Witcher show. So, there. All
right, that's enough of our ramblings on these topics. Let's get back to Cosmere and why we're all here, which is Mistborn, the Hero of Ages. And we will have Sheta. It's your turn to recap last week's episode.
Oh no. Okay.
Yes, Sheta. Last week's episode.
Yeah.
So it should be fresh in your memory.
Yeah, it should be. It's not like we skipped a week or anything. Hold on. Okay. I think we were. Okay, yes. We were starting part 2, correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, part 2 of Cloth and Glass. We follow Spook all of a sudden, right?
Yes.
Yes, Spook in the town that he's been um tasked with like scoping out and finding out what's going on and the town where all the Ska have risen up and started like killing nobles and getting really extreme about it. And we find out also Spook is been he's been eating tin, like constantly burning it for like years now, and he's kind of beginning to morph into like Daredevil, into a mutant type thing, a new creature. He has super senses now. He also has a crush on a new girl.
The
It's
exact
the
opposite of Daredevil, though.
what's that?
It'd be like the exact opposite of Daredevil. He's got super sight.
Yeah, so does Daredevil.
Yeah, but not
Daredevil
with his
doesn't have
eyes.
any sight.
Yeah, but he can hear, see stuff with the
Yeah.
vibrations.
I know. I just think it's funny to say he's like Daredevil. He can see really well.
Yeah, he can see too well. Okay. Yeah, I see that. Okay.
I'm just
All
kidding.
right.
No, it's an apt description. I just thought it was funny.
He covers his eyes because he can see so well.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he's got a new crush on the guy who has made himself like mayor of this town. His sister, not him. Yeah. He kind of has been spying on her, not in a creepy way, but almost creepy. And finally, he like tries to talk to her during a rally, and they talk a bit. But he was found out by the brother and then captured, brutally beat up. Although he put up a really badass fight. Oh, and then cut to Elend and Demu, and they're talking. Elend is like doing a quelling of his army, like to see if they react to the mist. And sadly, Demu fell to the mist because he actually never was exposed to that before. So that was very shocking. And we cut a little bit to Ariane and Breeze and Sazed traveling to the town they're going to. And Gorodel gives Sazed a little bit of positive feelings about farmers and stuff. Farmers working for themselves and not for an evil emperor is different. All right. Then Spook wakes up and he is in a burning building and he has no more tin and he's going to die because they put him in there. Then a mist spirit comes to help him, calling him Spook, and gives him or tries to help him get out of the burning building. He tells Spook to eat some metal that's in a desk, and Spook gains the power of pewter. And then he finds out that the voice is Kelsier, or sounds like Kelsier,
And looks like Kelsier.
and looks like him. It
Yeah,
actually
he steps-
became.
Yeah, he steps out of it.
Kelsey
Yeah. It's a dramatic
steps out of
reveal.
the shadows.
Oh, it is not made a mist then?
No.
Oh my god. I totally missed that part. I thought it was
No,
just
you
a.
didn't. We talked about it last time. You just forgot.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, I meant, yeah. I guess it was just like a. I thought it was like a force ghost type thing. I didn't think it was like actually him, like flesh and blood. Was it flesh and blood?
I don't know that.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was like a force ghost.
Yeah, Justin, she doesn't remember because Sheta was super high last week.
I guess.
I don't like getting high. I mean, that is none of your business.
Well, you already know that Justin and I were talking about, doing a bunch of cocaine. All right.
Without me?
But, all right. Anyways, good recap. Point of inspiration.
Yahoo!
So yeah, this week we read chapters 20 through 27, and we made sure to read them on time.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, the typical question: how are you two feeling about these chapters this week?
I'm glad.
Yeah, a lot of really interesting stuff. A lot of stuff did happen in these ones.
All right. Well, let's get into the recap then. Here we go. Chapter 20. Epigraph. More than one person reported feeling a sentient hatred in the mist. This is not necessarily related to the mist killing people, however. For most, even those it struck down, the mist seemed merely a weather phenomenon, no more sentient or vengeful than a terrible disease. For some few, however, there was more. Those it favored, it swirled around. Those it was hostile to, it pulled away from. Some felt peace within it, others felt hatred. It all came down to Ruin's subtle touch and how much one responded to his promptings.
Ooh, I know what's happening. I know what's happening.
Well, share with the group.
Okay. Ruin is actually ruin, the nature of ruin and everything. So if you are of ruin and you are like a destructive psychopath who kills everybody, it'll like you and be your friend. But if you try not to kill people and you try to be a good person, it won't like you because it's evil. So now that Vin has been like, I'm not gonna be a psychopath anymore. I'm going to try to be good and kill people for good reasons. Now she feels like the Mist has been hostile to her. And that is happening.
So my only question to that would be, what does that say about the people who die in the mists and the people who are spared? Because obviously the people who are spared are not all destructive. So what do you say to that?
You mean who are killed? The people who are killed? Right. Oh,
What?
oh, okay, okay, yeah, I see. Maybe they have the potential, you know.
All right, so Sheta,
What?
I will ask you: would you consider Zane more of? Would you consider him somebody that would go along with Ruin?
Yes. I think he would inhale that shit and be like, "That's me. I'm pure evil." Like he loves that. That's why he had the voice in his head. I feel like
All
it
right.
just got in him.
So then, Vin noted while they were going up to Sense Mansion to murder everybody, thought that she saw the mist pulling away from Zane.
Interesting. Because it was going towards her, probably. Maybe it was going towards her because she needed that extra push to get all crazy. And she did. It was probably going away from him and into her. Because she got kind of crazy, right? Yeah.
You can't just say right, yeah, and then back
Right?
yourself up on something you're saying.
Yeah, I do it all the time. No, yeah, she was going crazy. She was killing a bunch of the innocent, like, soldiers just kind of doing their job who didn't even see her. She just went mad with that. She almost, like, she was, like, really mean. So I think that's what was happening. That was not like Vin to be, is all I'm saying, you know? It's like when you have, like, reactions because you're wrote it out and stuff.
All right, so we'll go on into the chapter. TenSoon is in a cage, pretty much being shown off to all the other Kandra. This is why the second generation are taking so long to announce his sentence. And TenSoon wonders if what he had said to the Kandra has resonated to any of them. He also wonders what is happening above with Ruin and Preservation. He wonders if Vin made it to the Well of Ascension.
Interesting to have a character just outright talk about ruin and preservation in that way in their head. It really makes me feel like a lot of these guys know so much more than I do.
Yeah, I believe that they're very old now, for sure. Like, they seem like they were there when that stuff was happening. And that makes me kind of mad. Like, how do you know, well, a whole civilization knows these things casually and they don't tell anybody, you know?
I've got the answer to that shit. You know what it is?
Fuck them. They didn't care.
No. They could be controlled so easily by the person in charge who doesn't want people to know much about this stuff.
Yeah, but he's dead now. So,
They were worried before that like any sort of like Mistborn could control them. That's and like because TenSoon had talked about in the last book that they used to be like hunted and killed, and so that's why they came up with a contract with humans and everything. So now
I
they are much
see.
more of a secretive. And we see in these chapters the Kandra do not like humans.
Yeah, but
Like
they don't have to tell that secret. They can even make up their own secret. Like, actually, we're the most powerful, and the Lord Ruler is the only person that could control us, so now we're gonna rule the world. You know? Just the information about the ruin and stuff, you know. I would share that. But you know what? People might be digging around and it would endanger your whole species. Sure. I get it.
right. And then Milan arrives to the cage, where if you don't remember, she was mentioned very briefly in his trial.
Yep.
She was a
Alright.
female Kandra that was happy to see him there and stuff.
Yes, I imagine she looks like an anime character, the way she was described.
Isn't she
Like,
translucent with wooden bones or something?
no, but she's described as really tall and willowy and like exaggerated features and stuff like that. I think she'll just look like a One Piece character with how tall and skinny they are and long limbed, which would look really cool.
So Brooke with some sort of weird gel over him.
No, more like Boa Hancock with how tall and beautiful and
Yeah, but what about the other elements that were described?
sure, kind of like full wooden texture on her skin, you know?
Yeah, anyway, so she arrives to talk to TenSoon, but he tries to tell her to go away. She says that he is more wise than the seconds and that he should challenge them. But TenSoon says no to this, and that they are Kandra, not humans. They are of preservation, so they follow order. Milan mentions what is happening above, and TenSoon claims the first generation will do something, but Milan says that they are old and forgetful. And TenSoon thinks about it, and he knows that the second generation will know about Milan, and he does not want to get her punished with him. Milan asks TenSoon what he did with Orsir's blessing of potency, but TenSoon does not answer. She gets upset with him and says that he was broken by his masters and now has come here to die. She says that he came, proclaimed dread news, and then left them to solve the problems on their own. She brings up the dog bones that he was in, and TenSoon thinks about maybe having an opportunity to escape. He tells Milan that those bones were disgraceful. Milan says that TenSoon is avoiding the real issue. TenSoon tells her that he will not rebel against his own people. She says that he was once the greatest of them and leaves. But TenSoon thinks that he was not great. He was the most conservative of them, and now he has become their greatest criminal by accident. That is not greatness, just foolishness. Anything else in this chapter do you want to go over?
Pretty straightforward. Mostly telling us a lot of the stuff we already knew about his personality and his belief system.
I can't stand people who don't think they're great when they are. It's like, shut up, you great, awesome person. Him and Sazed Gippin all the time. It's like, oh, I'm not good enough to be the ruler of my people. And I was like, who are you going to have rule? That guy? Come on. Same with Ellen. Same thing.
I think especially in Sazed's case, you assume there's somebody out there who would be like people you read about who are going to be greater, But in real life, it's just some guy every time. Some guy who happens to be a little better than everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what makes, I think, that's something that I actually think makes Elend somewhat interesting, is that he actually is a little better than just some random guy, because he's very well learned, he thinks about stuff a lot, and he's very adaptable to whatever his people seem to need him to be. So I find that to be quite interesting, compared to someone like Sazed, like you said, or like Orsir as well. TenSoon, whatever the hell I'm supposed to be calling him.
Yeah. That's why Ellen is the emperor, not just a random leader.
All right, so let's go on to chapter 21. It should be no surprise that Ellen became such a powerful Allomancer. It is a well-established documented fact, though that documentation wasn't available to most, that Allomancers were much stronger during the early days of the Final Empire. In those days, an Allomancer didn't need duralumin to take control of a Kandra or Koloss. A simple push or pull on the emotions was enough. In fact, this ability was one of the main reasons that the Kandra devised their contract with the humans. For, at that time, not only Mistborn, but Soothers and Rioters could take control of them at the merest of whims.
That's really interesting to learn how powerful he used to be.
Yeah. Turns out Ellen's not so special after all.
Also, the more of these we read, the more I start to feel like this does not sound like Vin at all.
Oh, I know it's not. I know who it is.
Yeah. Oh, you know who it is?
I say that so confidently.
Yeah. Well, you've
Yeah.
called things before. Because either it's Vin in the very, very far future when she's like an old woman and she's become a learned scholar or something, or it's some twist that I don't have the pieces for yet. Because let's think, the twist in the first book, you would, about halfway through, I think there was enough pieces to put that together. Is that correct, Sheta? And then the twist in the second book, it was all throughout. The pieces were there because they kept saying things differently. So you could pick up on that if you were really paying attention.
Yeah.
So whatever this twist is, because I expect one, whether it's just as simple as it's an after thing, like in the future, or if it's something crazier. I wonder if it's something I should or could already know, or if it's something that we wouldn't be able to know yet. And I do wonder if you've been able, if you're seeing what it is. That'd be interesting.
Oh yeah, like if it's possible, or if you're like, there's no way I would know right now.
I feel like in the third book in a trilogy, it would probably, I don't know. I'd assume it would be possible by this point. I'm just curious to see what it could be.
I don't think it would. I think it's I think it's gonna be completely out of left field. Like we could have not guessed at all.
Well, neither of the previous ones were that, and the twists in the first book were all had the groundwork laid for them. You know, I don't think he's the kind of writer who's just going to do like an Uwe Ball mindfuck at the end. He seems more like he likes to, you know, pace out something that you'll be like, oh my god, and then have a reason to reread the book.
Yeah, yeah. Like it was there all along, kind of thing. Well, I think it will be that
Yeah.
too, but I think that the element that we're gonna get is something we never would have thought of, because he's had that
Very
kind
well
of
could
stuff
be.
before, where he
When?
adds another element and changes the entire thing. Like the first book, like it was Elendi, like, or it was not Elendi, like it was
You
Rashek,
called
like,
it, so obviously that wasn't out of nowhere.
well, yeah, but you didn't.
What? That doesn't prove anything. You just gave evidence against what you were saying.
I think it will be more every time. It's like a game or something. The challenge level is higher now, so there will be less clues. But yeah, same thing. It's gonna be a drop, like a bomb. I don't know what I'm trying to say. He's gonna drop a thing on us that will connect everything, but with only like 2 clues. Like that's how it's gonna be. Yeah.
So going into the chapter, the very first sentence in this chapter, Demu survived.
Woo! Thank goodness. I don't
So-
want to follow like Oradell.
I always had faith in him.
So after last week having a big discussion about whether he's alive or dead, it just tells you, yeah, he's alive. And I think that's all they talk about Demu this entire chapter is just that sentence. Vin is riding on a canal boat as they are heading towards Fadrex. She's looking over Elendi's logbook and reads the part about the deepness. She doesn't know why she keeps coming back to this passage, but she feels like she and Elendi both felt a hatred from the mists. They were also similar in that they believed they were the hero of ages, but then were each betrayed in the end. She thinks about Ruin and that it is not omnipotent. If it was, then it wouldn't have needed to trick her into releasing it. It cannot know her thoughts. In the past, she would have been able to lean on Sazed, Elend, or TenSoon for help, but this time she will have to do it on her own. And she thinks about Kelsier and how he had stood in front of a crew and told them that they would take down the final empire. He made a point-by-point list, which made the task seem simple. So Vin decides to try the same thing. She had felt its power while she was in the Well of Ascension, but it was not chaos. It had planned and thought. It couldn't just do what it wanted. And so Vin asks Elend if he remembers the first rule of allomancy, and he tells her that everything has consequences. For each push, there is a pull. And Vin thinks that this applies to Ruin as well. It was a force, and every force has rules. She just has to discover the laws that govern it. And Elend kind of asks her what she's thinking about and stuff, but she tells him not to worry about it, and that it is not something she can speak of. And then she hears Reen's voice in her head telling her that Elend thinks that she's plotting against him. But Vin ignores the voice.
That's my favorite part. That's some crazy stuff for Reen to be saying, you know?
You know what? I'm gonna apply that to my own life. Reen is just a voice of distortions for you. Like, dude, just don't even listen to that. But oh, everyone hates you. I bet she thinks you're fake and stuff. Like, just don't listen to that
Yeah.
voice. It's just Reen. So it's good to just ignore it.
I don't think this is Reen, though, personally.
Oh no,
Really?
it's not.
I think that this...
She's been.
I think that they're...
It's Ruin. Right? It's Ruin.
I
Ruin-
think there's something going to be going on because she's had the voice in her head all 3 books. It would be so interesting to have it start to say more things when she's so used to it and have something be speaking to her in the same way as Zane.
Yeah. It's gonna be. I want to learn that it takes on the form of the, like, that's the only way it can get in your head is through some kind of voice you've had in there or what you think you allow in your head. Because Zane thought it was God because he probably thought He probably had something like
Well,
that in him already.
It probably told him it was God, because it believes it
Maybe
is,
I thought it was because that's the only voice that Zane would listen to, or let be in his head.
And then Vin asks Elend what he is thinking about, and he says that he fears that he is becoming like the Lord Ruler. He sacrificed his own men for a tactical advantage. Elend feels brutal and wonders how far he will go to see his goals accomplished. Right now, he is marching on another man's kingdom to take it by force. Everything he does now feels like it's something that he must do. And then Elend tells Vin about how the nobles used to find their Almancers. They would have their children beaten brutally in order to see if they snapped. Many of the children died.
Goodness.
Vin tells him that he stopped this, but Elend says that he was wrong to do so. Alamancers are their most powerful resource, and he made it illegal to search for him. He knows he should have stopped the beating of children, but could the beatings be for the greater good, like sacrificing his soldiers to the mist is? Could Kelsier have saved his wife if he had been beaten and snapped before going to the pits?
Ooh, dangerous questions.
Elend realizes that he is beginning to understand the Lord Ruler and why he did what he did, and that worries him. The only reason why Elend holds his throne right now is because he knows that at one point he was willing to give it up in the name of what is right. So he asks Vin that if he ever loses that, then she needs to tell him.
Man, the second that I find out that it reveals at some point that actually the way to hold this back is to sacrifice like hundreds of people every month or so, will be the second that I'll have to start rethinking the Lord Ruler's entire structure. Like, maybe you need a society with pain and agony and torture in order to feed this thing enough to keep it down, And the less of that you have, the more it craves to bring it to the world itself. That would be my call for the ending. That would be crazy to learn.
I said that, and you laughed at me.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember that.
I said
What did
that
you say?
when we were talking about his sacrifices at the fountain, and I was like, "Those are
Yeah, are you talking
sacrifices."
about in the first book, Sheta?
Yeah,
Yeah, but we couldn't know anything about that then.
yeah, but I said that he was doing stuff for a reason.
I don't know. That
Let's,
sounds like something I would say too. I can't remember that far back.
audience, you tell us. Was it me? It was me, right? Yeah, no, that's scary to think of for Elend. You can justify one thing, you can keep doing it.
Hmm. And if you have magical reasons to justify things like the beating of children, it adds in a really interesting question to this kind of stuff that you get in a more grounded story.
Yeah. Because you're like, sure, when you come in like the second half of the movie and be like, what are you doing? You just see kids getting beat up, you're not gonna think. And I think that's an interesting commentary on young people in general. But I'm not gonna go into that. You haven't lived long enough to see why these things are done and stuff.
Shida, if you're justifying the Lord Ruler's actions, then you're doing a misreading of anything I was saying.
Not like that, but I didn't mean like that extremely. But it's just like when a kid is like, "Why do I gotta eat my vegetables or brush my teeth?"
Yep, it is just
Yeah.
like that. It is exactly the same. You are correct.
Are you making fun of me?
I don't see how it could possibly be the same as that.
It's not the same. I already said
You're the
it's
one
not.
who... Nobody said it was the same except you. I don't know who you're arguing against.
Hey Joe, just let's go on then.
Okay. All right, so then Norden, the obligator, comes up to Elend, and he has numbers of the sick and dead from the mist. He notes that the dead came in lower than they expected. And Vin has a weird feeling about the numbers and asks Norden for the percentage. And he tells her about 13.5% of the army became sick or died. Then Vin asks him not to include those who had been in mist before, and then Norden notes that it is exactly 16%. Norden and Elend believe it to be a coincidence, but Vin asks Norden to check his ledgers for other reports. As he does this, he notices that each time it comes out to exactly 16%. In cases where it could not be perfectly divided, then it is as close to 16% as possible. They had never noticed this before because they did not include the sick or the dead in with the sick. And the sickness should hit the elderly more, but it doesn't. However, the deaths do hit the elderly more than normal. Vin thinks that this means that there are consequences to the actions. There are laws, even if she does not understand them.
Yeah, I don't either. That's fucking weird.
I did not understand this. I had to listen to this part a couple times because I was like, what does that mean? What are they saying?
We don't know.
Okay, good.
We have
So I
no
wasn't
idea. That's weird.
okay. So
Yeah.
I was like,
Pretty
not
much
kidding.
what it is whenever there's a group of people that go into the mist who had never been in the mist before, exactly 16% of them will get sick. The other 84% will be perfectly fine. And it's not normally, when people get sick, you'd expect, all right, old people who have weaker immune systems, more of them will get sick than others. But it's not like that. It's evenly distributed between the healthy, between men, women, all that.
I
Old,
see. I
young.
see.
But the older people who would be considered more like weaker immune systems, they are the ones that die more than the younger ones. And that was even stated in the last book.
I hate realizing something like this because I just got a piece, so I don't even know the other pieces to it all.
That's what I
Like,
mean by the reveal. Yeah.
if I do know the other pieces, I'm not aware of what they are, and it'll be very interesting to know what the hell this even means.
Yes.
Now, maybe he has to round up and kill 16% of the population. Maybe that's it. Maybe it demands the death of 16% of people. That's the most I got.
Why?
Why? I
Maybe
couldn't
maybe
say.
it's an ancient contract. I could
Yeah,
see
I have
that.
no fucking clue.
Like, all right, deal. And then he goes into the lamp.
Maybe it's just a natural law of the world that that's how things are in this world.
Math is naturally occurring all the time. So
Yeah, maybe there's some kind of statistical element that I'm not aware of in real life. If ruin and preservation made a deal long ago or some nonsense like that, I have no clue.
rock paper scissors. Like that's I don't know, man. So 16%. The more we read this, the more it seems like all these like religious traditions in the world seem to just be some kind of random ass thing that happened a long time ago. So I feel like that's
Yes,
kind
in
of
this
gonna be a
world.
theme. Uh-huh. Hey, you can't say that. Just kidding.
This whole
You can.
book, his whole writing, both books we've read have been a commentary on religious thoughts. That's definitely a
Yeah,
huge
for
theme in
sure.
these.
Like, yep, he was just some guy. It was just something they did. Like I was saying about the quelling, how that seems like a weird tradition. Yeah.
All right. Anything else from this chapter you two want to go over?
No. Good.
All right. On to chapter double 2. The beads of metal
Nice.
found at the beads of metal found at the well, beads that made men into Mistborn, were the reason why Allomancers used to be more powerful. Those first Mistborn were as Elend Venture became, possessing a primal power, which was then passed down through the lines of the nobility, weakening a bit with each generation. The Lord Ruler was one of these ancient Allomancers, his power pure and unadulterated by time and breeding. This is part of why he was so mighty compared to other Mistborn. Though, admittedly, his ability to mix feruchemy and allomancy was what produced many of his most spectacular abilities. Still, it's interesting to me that one of his divine powers, his essential allomantic strength, was something every one of the original 9 allomancers possessed.
It's interesting because in the first book, I think it was, they said that he'd gifted the power, the noble power, right, to like the families he favored from way back when. It's really interesting to me to see more and more, like, that wasn't just some bullshit story like I kind of thought it was. Like, stuff does actually go really far back in a more magical way than we even know.
I don't like when you use the word magical, Justin. It's not
Why?
magical. Because I think
It's
magical
magic.
it's pretty. Magical, you should say like something else first or
What about,
something.
like, blood magic?
Yeah, you can say blood magic.
No, I mean, blood magic isn't pretty, but it's still called magic.
Yeah, you can call it that. Magical specifically, like magical girl.
I see.
Like
So you think
magic.
that people being able to shoot coins from their hands and stuff and pull them, that's just not magical?
No, it's science magic, so it's just not magic. I don't like that.
You didn't say that you didn't like it because it was science magic. You said you didn't like it because it was horror stuff, right? The word?
Um, it's all not magical, so I just don't think that's the appropriate word.
It's
You
literally
may
a
feel
hard
that way,
magic
but you
system.
would be wrong. That is factually correct.
I'm
Magical
just
doesn't mean Disney's Magic Kingdom, you know.
It's just my personal feelings about it. You can choose to ignore it. I just have to say my piece. I don't like it used in that way. Powers. You can call it powers, you know?
Yeah, but how that wouldn't work for the sentence I said.
You can say magic like or, allomancy powers. You can use whatever word you want. I'm not trying to censor you. Don't get mad.
If there's a more accurate word that is more accurate to you, I'd like to know it. But powers does not replace the way I use the word magical.
It's
Supernatural, maybe.
it's
That's one.
Supernatural is I can do supernatural. That's okay.
Yay, okay, there you go.
should we go with what the writer calls it?
He doesn't no, Joe, you're not understanding. She's not talking about the word magic. She's talking about the word magical to describe nightmarish ancient rituals that killed millions of people in the long run. I don't think you're saying anything about the word magic, right, Sheta?
Yeah, no, I'm not.
He's just saying, "Oh, it's a magical thing."
It's
All
like,
right,
well,
I'm
are
just gonna
your
move on.
attacks magical? Okay, yeah, go ahead.
All right, I'm just gonna move on. All right, so Sazed's chilling at the pits of Hathsin along with the terrace people. They want him to stay and be their leader, but he turns them down. He only came here to check on their needs. They tell him that they aren't hurting for food or land, but they do lack a leader. One of the elders there notices that Sazed is not wearing his copper mines. He finds this odd because Sazed used to always wear them in defiance, but now that he has the freedom to do so, he doesn't. Sazed says that he cannot be what they wished him to be. He was the lowest of the keepers. He was a rebel and a reject. The last time he left Terrace, it was in disgrace. The Terrace men tell him that they now bless him, but Sazed says that he does not deserve those blessings.
Here we go again.
And next, Sazed asked if any of the Terrace have died in the mist, but he is told that none of them have been. Sazed finds it odd that the Terrace seem to be immune to the mist. He knows that he should look into this and research it, but he just feels too apathetic. He wants to just hide where nobody could find him, but a part of him refused to give up. He will continue his research into the religions, and he will also do what Elend and Vin requested of him and go to Urto. And that's the end of the chapter.
Does it mean that I'm like getting really annoyed with Sazed?
I would assume that you're supposed to think pretty negatively of how he's thinking now, even though you can empathize with it. Just because in the long run, obviously, obviously caring about things is going to be better, but it's hard when you're legit feeling depressed. It's really interesting to me that he does recognize what is happening and has his way to try to fight against it,
Mhm.
But on the other hand, there's such a hopelessness over everything. It almost makes sense to just be like, we're all going to die anyways,
Yep, the path of despair is all encompassing. I guess
Mhm.
maybe for someone who has never let that in before or like who never given
That
in to
too.
despair, it's
Mhm.
hard to get out when you're in there. So he's still
It's a way
fighting.
that his faiths were almost bad for him because he always had that to hold on to. The
Mm-hmm.
second he loses it, he doesn't really have what like somebody like Vin has already developed when she was very young because how shitty things were for her, or how hopeless she was her whole life,
That's true.
So that's quite interesting.
I'm enjoying being annoyed with him though, so it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go on to chapter 23. During the early days of Kelsier's original plan, I remember how much he confused us all with his mysterious 11th metal. He claimed that there were legends of a mystical metal that would let one slay the Lord Ruler, and that Kelsier himself had located that metal through intense research. Nobody really knew what Kelsier did in the years between his escape from the pits of Hathsin and his return to Luthadel. When pressed, he simply said that he had been in the West. Somehow in his wanderings, he discovered stories that no keeper had ever heard. Most of the crew didn't know what to make of the legends he spoke of. This might have been the first seed that made even his oldest friends begin to question his leadership.
I was like, oh yeah, the 11th medal. That was such a big deal before. Totally forgot.
Alright, so we go into this chapter, and Spook is delusional from his injuries, and he's going in and out of consciousness. While he goes out of consciousness, we get a lost flashback sequence as he thinks back to 10 years ago. So, he's a kid and he's brought into the ska hovel and dropped onto the floor, and his father puts his foot onto Spook's neck. The ska discuss what to do with Spook. Since they now know that he has allomantic powers, they are worried. They contemplate turning him in, but others say that will just bring Steel Inquisitors in to kill all of them. Spook's father thinks that it is best to simply kill him. As Spook's father presses his foot down onto Spook's neck, a man sitting at a table sets down a bag of coins and tells him that he will give it to them in exchange for the boy. One of the ska says they cannot let the boy go because he will betray them when he gets caught, but the man says they will not get caught. Spook says that the man is a traitor and a servant in the Lord Ruler's army, and he looks at his wife and says that she must have called his brother because she knew that he would take the boy. And then Spook is allowed to leave with the man. He asks for Spook's name. Spook feels like his older name wouldn't do anymore, so he says it is Mistborn. He never did figure out if clubs knew what the name meant or not. Mistborn, or Lefting I'm Born, street slang for I've been abandoned.
Or baby. He's just a baby.
And this is the twist where we learn that Spook's real name was Kelsier later on.
Oh,
And then your time travel theory comes true.
No, it's not Kelsier. It's
Rashik.
Rashik. Oh my gosh, Justin. That's it. That's the element.
Uh-huh.
You can see that. Why did they not tell us his real name, I wonder?
Probably because it's just not important. But yeah, so this is why, after Kelsier called him Spook, why I kept calling him Spook, and even though Sheta wanted to stay with Mistborn, because I knew what Mistborn meant, that it was a more depressing name.
Yeah. Now I feel like Kelsier may have secretly known what that meant. And he's like, yeah, we're not calling you that anymore. You've got a family now.
So he came up with the really kind name Spook.
It's cool. It's a
It
cool
is
name.
cool. That's true.
See? And for a young boy, you're like, oh, sweet, I got a cool nickname. You know, I'm part of the
Yeah.
game. What are you going to call him? Charlie or something? That's not pretty cool. Nothing wrong with the name Charlie if that's your name. Yeah.
We don't want people named Charlie listening to this podcast, so just get out of here. That's what we're trying to say.
No, don't say that.
All right, so anything else from this chapter you two want to go over?
I liked seeing the flashback and a little bit of clubs. It seemed to be really cool. I always wanted to know more about him and his operation, so.
All right, we will continue on to chapter 24. I now believe that Kelsier's stories, legends, and prophecies about the 11th metal were fabricated by Ruin. Kelsier was looking for a way to kill the Lord Ruler, and Ruin, ever subtle, provided a way. That secret was indeed crucial. Kelsier's 11th metal provided the very clue we needed to defeat the Lord Ruler. However, even in this, we were manipulated. The Lord Ruler knew Ruin's goals and would never have released him from the Well of Ascension. So Ruin needed other pawns, and for that to happen, the Lord Ruler needed to die. Even our greatest victory was shaped by Ruin's subtle fingers.
These are messed up things to realize, man.
That sucks. Damn, Ruin. You ruined everything.
Well, that's his job.
Alright, so TenSoon is thinking about what Milan had told him. That he brought bad news and then left them to solve their own problems on their own. He wonders if that now feels like the easy way out. Taking his punishment is not the easy way out, but it would be the honorable, orderly thing. By doing so, he would lead Milan and the others to be destroyed by their leaders who refuse to take action. He would leave Vin without the information she needs. Vin needs to know the truth about the Kandra. Perhaps she could even use the trust. By doing this, though, he would be deliberately going against his leaders. Even if he tried to escape, he would not be fast enough to get away from the Kandra, who have the blessing of potency. It has been a few days since he had talked to Milan. She has come to see him a few times, but has not approached to talk. Farcel and some other fifths come to the cage with a bag. TenSoon is to wear these bones to the trial, and TenSoon then will have these bones broken as part of the punishment, and there is no reason to break a good set of human bones. Farcel leaves, and TenSoon sees that the bones were the dog bones he had worn when he returned. This is exactly what TenSoon had been hoping for when he told Milan the bones were a disgrace. The fifths just gave him his means of escape.
What a bunch of losers. They just fell right into that. Like, oh,
I
cool.
like the
We're
way
gonna embarrass him so much.
I like the way he worded that when he was talking to her, you know.
Yeah,
It didn't sound like it would actually be useful to have him, you know, like he knew exactly how to talk to get him to do this. I liked that quite a bit.
yeah. So smart. And I'm like, why is he the only competent Khandra? Like, he just seems super badass compared to everyone else, who seems like a bunch of doofuses, which is just
Isn't
so.
isn't that what it's like in real life too?
Yeah, but not always. Everyone thinks they're the main character, but it's not always
Yeah, but
true.
most people are stupid or
Yeah, but these are
short-sighted or cowardly. I think it's
yeah,
a rare few people who like, you know, are a little more competent and brave and caring, you know.
yeah. I guess yeah. He's main character. Oh, I hope he escapes.
All right. So on to chapter 25. The balance. Is it real? We've almost forgotten this little bit of lore. Sky used to talk about it before the collapse. Philosophers discussed it a great deal in the 3rd and 4th centuries, but by Kelsier's time, it was mostly a forgotten topic. But it was real. There was a physiological difference between Ska and nobility. When the Lord Ruler altered mankind to make them more capable of dealing with ash, he changed other things as well. Some groups of people, the noblemen, were created to be less fertile, but taller, stronger, and more intelligent. Others, the Ska, were made to be shorter, hardier, and to have many children. The changes were slight, however, and after 1,000 years of interbreeding, the differences had largely been erased.
That's crazy to me because right at the beginning of the book, I was saying how crazy it would be if there was a difference between Ska and noble people, you know, and that the, you know, maybe the Lord Ruler was right in that way. To go all the way back that there did used to be, even though now it's not really like that anymore, is incredibly insane revelation to me. That's a huge deal.
Mm.
Especially the thing about the nobles being smarter on average, you know. Because you go way back then treating them like cattle would probably feel more sensible, you know. It's interesting
No.
that over time, though, they fucked that up and, you know, bred too much with them, basically.
Ew.
Uh, I don't think just because you're smart, you're allowed to treat the others like cattle.
Yeah, but we don't know what they were like. If they're bred to be smarter and the Ska are bred to be, like, stupid as shit, you know what I mean? Then it would make sense that they have a caste system like that. We don't know. I haven't seen what they were like back then, but it'd be very interesting for me to see what the difference really was. If it's something that's just like between a smart and dumb person here in real life, or if it's a lot more, you know, noticeable. Kind of like, you know, the Harry Potter house elves where you try to treat them like humans, but they're just not the same, even though they act the same. Or is it more like, you know, like I said, just like real life? Be very curious to see that explored someday. Because I find these differences between people with supernatural elements to be very interesting.
Yeah, I like it.
And you bring up the house elf thing. I remember that's the part of the books that I really just found boring was Hermione's whole thing of trying to free them through all the books.
Oh, you're just
You don't
wrong.
like
That part's super interesting. That part's so interesting because they get to comment on the lore of the world in a way they almost never do. Because most things they just kind of just say, "Yep, that's the way it is," and you're like, "Wait, then you have all these questions about it." That's one of the few times that they actually show that magical creatures are different than humans, because it's so common for us to just assume that they're just exactly like humans, you know, and you know think, "Oh, they're being abused" and all this stuff. It's so fascinating to learn that they actually have an in-universe reason they act the way they act and get you to really reconsider most of the things that are just told to you in that book.
It's really interesting that that's such a big part of the book because that's the difference between our heroes and Voldemort and the Death Eaters. But we don't really see many instances like that. A little bit in the last book with how goblins are treated, but other than that, I feel like
Yeah,
that
that's a
in
really interesting element too, because they are different, you know? So bad people would justify that as a way to treat them like shit and not care about them, you know? People would see them as different and still treat them with some dignity and respect, even though they want to go wash your dishes and shit, you know?
yeah.
Doesn't mean you should kick them and scream at them. They can't leave. They physically can't, you know? So treating them so poorly really shows what a piece of crap you are because they literally are helpless, you know, by their nature. So it's a really interesting contrast.
And I was incorrect because there were things like that throughout the books, but with with Hagrid being a half giant and stuff like that. So they do talk about that, and centaurs and a bunch of stuff. So I'm just wrong. I just need to say that, so no one comes at me. Though I doubt anyone cares. But
Yeah, but it's at its most extreme with the house elves. That's what I thought you were saying.
yes, I am. Also, are the most obvious one. Anyway, sorry. Back to Mistborn.
All right. Elend's army arrives at Fadrex City. They observe that while it doesn't have walls, it does have natural barriers made from rock formation. And trees that used to be on the plateaus around them have been cut down in order to make large killing fields. Ham notes the canals have gotten incredibly clogged with ash, so they will not be able to return the way they came through the canals. Ham just feels like fate is trying to strand them here. Elend has a meeting with Set, Ham, and Vin. He notes the people of Fadrex don't appear to fear the Mist. Set says that Yeoman, the leader and a former obligator, is a clever one and that he had pretty much forced Set out of the city a year ago. And pretty much once Set left, Yeoman took over and all that. Yeoman likely has a few units out within striking distance to raid Elend's camp. Elend says they should have their soldiers stay in their tents in the morning to pretend like they fear the Mist, but to be ready for a surprise attack. Elend asks Set's advice, and Set says to hold the canal and make sure Yeoman cannot get supplies into the city, then to go out into the surrounding areas and start taking the cities there. But Elend says no. This is not about conquering the land. This is about getting to the cash and supplies inside. Elend knows from reports that the ash is killing the crops just as much as the mists are. They need something besides the land in order to save the people. Next, Elend tells Ham to see if he can get scouts into the city who can find food stores in order to ruin them. Set suggests using one of their 2 Mistborn to assassinate the leaders, but Elend says no. He wants to try diplomacy first. Elend asks for a list of informants and nobles that might be persuaded to help, and then have Vin go into the city and search these people out. After the meeting ends, Vin goes to Elend and notes that he did not deny that it might come to assassination. Elend hopes that it won't come to that, but he will make the decision that is best for the Empire. He says that he should come with Vin, but she says no because he's just simply too noisy. Once Vin gets the list of people, she drops a coin and goes off into the city. And that's the chapter.
It's always interesting when they start talking about all the relatively, realistic, this is how the defenses are set up. We've got to come up with plans for, overcoming that with our troops, yada, yada, yada. And then they also just send a superpowered person in to go do some element that in real life they would not have, because they even said, we'll try to get our spies in to answer stuff. But Vin, you just fly in and go talk to people, it really makes these kind of things seem a lot different.
Why put on airs? That's when they're like, just go kill him. Then it'd be over,
Well, it's the same with the war earlier, when Vin is able to fly in and just use her superpowers to kill all the leaders quick,
Mm-hmm.
It makes it so, it's just funny to have it all laid out and then be able to break it so easily too.
I wonder. We were just talking about Zane being controlled, or not controlled, but influenced by Ruin, and he would think that kind of thing. He told Vin that, why are you even sitting here? You could just end this right now, But she's hesitating, and I wonder if that's because order is what separates you from just becoming like that, and you gotta obey or follow the rules and stuff like that. And that is more like order. I forgot. What is it? Ruin and
Preservation.
preservation. Okay, yeah, yes. To preserve stuff, you need order and rules, and trying to talk diplomatically and stuff. So I think holding on to that's gonna be key to not becoming like the Lord Ruler, or maybe that's what the Lord Ruler did all this time. I don't know.
Well, the Lord Ruler made a lot of ruin, but he did preserve the world, so who knows?
Mm-hmm. Really
Right,
pushed the
anything
line.
else?
Mm-hmm.
Anything else from this chapter?
No, pretty straightforward.
So, chapter 26. I'm only just beginning to understand the brilliance of the Lord Ruler's cultural synthesis. One of the benefits afforded him by being both immortal and, for all relevant purposes, omnipotent was a direct and effective influence on the evolution of the Final Empire. He was able to take elements from a dozen different cultures and apply them to his new perfect society. For instance, the architectural brilliance of the Kaleni builders is manifest in the keeps that the high nobility construct. Kaleni fashion sense, suits for gentlemen, gowns for ladies, is another thing the Lord Ruler decided to appropriate. I suspect that despite his hatred of the Kaleni people, of whom Olendi was one, Rashik had a deep-seated envy of them as well. The terrorists of the time were pastoral herdsmen, the Kaleni cultured cosmopolitans. However ironic, it is logical that Rashik's new empire would mimic the high culture of the people he hated.
And we're like, who is this butt kisser? I still have my theories.
Alright, so we go back to Spook, and he's in his one-room lair, which is illegal by the citizens' laws. And Spook is
That was my
overlooking...
favorite thing in the whole chapter. It's illegal to be in a private run-room lair where you cannot be seen. I really do feel like the citizen is trying to make a 1984 society here right now. I really wonder if there's some direct influences to that or from that.
Yeah. Is that the wording that they use in the book?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And, he is overlooking his wounds and marveling at the fact that he can now burn pewter. Spook had tested the other metals, but the only ones he can burn are tin and pewter, which goes against all the rules because you should only be able to burn one or all of them. He doesn't know if it was actually Calcir or just a hallucination. But if it was an hallucination, that does not explain him being able to burn pewter. Spook notices a small piece of metal sticking out from his skin. It's the tip of the sword, and it had broken when it had stabbed him. As he goes to remove it, Calcir tells him to keep it because it is a sign of his survival. And, Spook's trying to impress the chicks, and chicks dig scars.
I mean, chicks dig pieces of metal sticking out of your skin?
Yeah.
I mean, if that's your thing, I mean, what are piercings, really? But
Spook leaves his lair and heads to an area called the Harrows. It is a slum which is filled with people who do not want to be under the watchful eye of the citizen. Spook heads into a bar to listen to what people are saying. While in there, he buys a bottle of wine for only 3 coins that the citizen had minted. While before, this same exact bottle of wine used to be worth a couple hundred boxing.
I have to ask a question. Why wouldn't you want to be under the citizen's watchful eye? What are you hiding? Is it noble blood or sympathies? That's all I'm saying.
it sucks. It seems like nothing matters and nothing of value. Nothing is valued. No
I'm
art,
sorry,
no
did you
beauty.
Did you just say value, Sheta? You know who
Yeah.
values things? The nobility.
Yeah, capitalists.
We're gonna have to toss you in a burning building.
Sheta,
Sorry.
why do you feed the troll?
Because it's funny.
I'm just saying, I'm starting to warm up to this ideology. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I know you, and you would hate living like that.
Well, just because I'd hate it doesn't mean I wouldn't acknowledge its moral superiority and follow it.
I don't think you would acknowledge its moral superiority. You might
You're
follow
right.
it.
I would try to be the citizen. You're correct. That's the right thing to do in this situation.
Sit down.
So Spook overhears people talking about how the citizen might get rid of coins and keep them all in his treasury. The citizen says that men shouldn't rely on coins and that the people should have everything together. He overhears others talking about how the citizen has genealogists tracing people up to 5 generations. Anyone with noble blood in 5 generations cannot serve in government, and those within 2 generations are to be executed.
Jesus!
Oh man, this guy.
Yeah. We gotta put this guy down. He's just. Mm-mm.
I like how every single time we know nothing about this society. Every time we get another line of dialogue, it gets twice as bad. Every time. Things going at an exponential rate of going towards something horrible.
You give him an inch and this is what happens.
Well, he seems like somebody who, I don't know. He's either really scared of losing power or he's just at the point where he's got enough power where he knows people can't do anything about it anymore. Or he's crazy. It could just be he's insane.
Yeah.
Too. Mm-hmm.
I wonder if he's being possessed or told what to do. Because this is really extreme.
You say, I don't think you got to be possessed to do that. I think you can look at a lot of situations in our real world.
Influenced. like highly, highly influenced by a crazy voice in your head, you know. Me, the kind that you're like, gotta get rid of all the germs, like, you know, like, well, yeah, mentally unstable.
So the citizen is now Howard Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's more of a Stalin.
Spook thinks about clubs and wonders why he wasted so much money to come and get Spook. And then he thinks about Kelsier and the crew. Everyone has accomplished something, while Spook has merely watched and done nothing. He whispers that he just wants to be able to help, and he hears Kelsier answer back that he can be great, just like Kelsier was. Spook resolves that he can help the people of this city, just like Kelsier did in Luthadel. And then Spook realizes that people in the bar are beginning to stare at him and they recognize him. He overhears them saying that he was run through and thought to be dead before being thrown into the building. And also Dern has been talking about him and saying that he was part of the survivors' crew. So Spook leaves the bar.
Damn Dern.
Alright. Anything else from this chapter you two want to go over?
Again, another character who's all low self-esteem-y.
I would say Spook's almost becoming the exact opposite. He's starting to see himself as a hero of this city, like Kelsier.
Because he thinks Kelsier is telling him. He needs reaffirmation every couple minutes.
And all this stuff with Spook, it's been building up because he was putting himself down a lot throughout Well of Ascension.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple times that book, he kind of said he was useless and nobody cared about Spook.
Well,
Nobody
to be
cared about
fair,
little
that
Spook.
was true.
I did. I care. Spook.
Yeah, you did. I was always like, oh, Spook's here. All right.
Okay, Spook, you got a girlfriend now. You got superpowers. You're gonna become a
Wait.
main character.
When did he get a girlfriend? Because I've read these chapters and I don't remember him getting a girlfriend.
She was intrigued. She was asking him what his
It's
name
all
was.
but in the bag at this point, I'd say.
Yeah, yes, exactly. If his brother didn't get all cock blocky, he would have had that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the
Had
best
that shit
pickup
on
line.
lock.
The best pickup line. I'm going to kill your brother.
It is when your
You know,
brother's the citizen.
certain types.
Imagine,
You know?
think about this guy, you know? Look at how he's treating the city. Think about how he treats somebody that close to him. It can't be fun to be that guy's brother.
No, seems super overprotective.
No, not.
In a
I don't know
creepy-
about that even.
Yeah, they said that.
Did they?
That he always like kept her around, except for when they had secret meetings. He had her go to the backyard.
Nice. Okay.
All right. So we'll move on to chapter 27, our last chapter of the day. Yes, Rashik made good use of his enemy's culture in developing the final empire. Yet, other elements of imperial culture were a complete contrast to Klenium and its society. The lives of the Ska were modeled after the slave peoples of Kanzi. The Terra stewards resembled the servant class of Urtan, which Rashik conquered relatively late in his first century of life. The imperial religion, with its obligators, actually appears to have arisen from the bureaucratic mercantile system of the Elend, a people who were very focused on weights, measures, and permissions. The fact that the Lord Ruler would base his church on a financial institution shows, in my opinion, that he worried less about true faith in his followers, and more about stability, loyalty, and quantifiable measures of devotion. All right, so
I wonder
we're back.
about that. I wonder about that. I'm very curious. Because they say that. They wouldn't say that for no reason. Makes me wonder, because religion's been such a theme throughout here. I wonder if there's some amount of belief that you need to hold this stuff, you know, a belief in something that's not just nihilistic nothing. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's a loose, stray thought. I barely have anything, but I'm very curious what the theme of religion's going to be at the end of this book.
All right, so we go back to Vin, and she's arriving in Fadrex, flying through the air, and she heads to the first informant. While going there, she thinks back to how things were a few years ago, when she was going to balls, and how much she has changed since then. She looks around the city, expecting to find signs of starvation, but everything appears to be normal. Vin arrives at a house and meets with an old man named Slow Swift, and he offers to tell her a story. He also tells her that he used to trade stories with Set, and that Set was one of the finest poets he knew. Vin asks about Yeoman, and Slow Swift says that he is a good man. He has kept the city from falling apart. When society was falling apart, Yeoman had given them stability. He mentions that the Ska are working and the nobles are having balls, which surprises Vin. The world is ending, but the nobles are still having balls. Vin asks what Yeoman's weaknesses are, but Slow Swift doesn't want to tell her because he likes him. Vin brings up the world is ending and that Yeoman won't be able to do anything about it. Slow Swift contemplates this and does say that Yeoman is a middling leader and that Elend is a man of vision and action. He says that Yeoman's weakness is that he is still a believer of the Lord Ruler and his organization. He also says that Yeoman has wealth and that doesn't match, where he came from. His wealth doesn't match what he would have gotten as an obligator. This makes Vin realize that Yeoman has gotten the cash and that it does have the ATM.
No way. We're finally going to get the goddamn ATM? I don't believe it.
Yes. So is ATM just automatically equal money? Is that
They think it does.
like
Because I know
who's
the first book, Ham was bringing it up, like the economy of ATM. ATM is considered really good because it's pretty much makes Mistborn unkillable. So it's
yeah,
And
but
it's so
who's even
rare,
buying
too.
that now?
Anyone with Mistborn powers?
Yeah, are there even any around?
Of course
We
there
haven't
are.
really we haven't seen any other Mistborn for a long time.
Yeah, because we've just been seeing our guys. There's got to be more around.
I'm
It's
so
not like they
curious
just
about
killed them
that
all
at all.
off.
Yes, I want to see them, like probably a whole group. That would be really cool. And also,
No, not a
like,
whole
if
group. Like noble families have like one
yeah, I bet they're all
every now
here
and then.
having a ball. That'd be cool. Having a literal ball. I just wonder if people are buying the ATM, how it's not been found out, like how people don't know. Like, oh yeah, I hear there's a ton of ATM in the city and stuff, like.
After Vin gives Slow Swift some gold, she leaves to go to the second informant. She lands on a building and looks at a square with some beggars. She is here to see a beggar named Hoyd, and she spots him and he's humming some tune. But Vin gets a weird feeling from him. She doesn't know what, but something about him bothers her. So Vin leaves without going to see him.
Yeah,
Weird,
that was fucking weird.
right?
And it's weird
Okay.
because I'm pretty sure we heard that name before, right? Sheta?
Only twice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once in another book entirely, and now,
Mm-hmm.
and in this book, Kelsier talked to Hoyd as well.
Oh, he did. I forgot about that.
Mhm.
That's where I remember it from the most. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's weird. I don't know. I mean, your element, Sheta, I think that's probably what it is. No.
Hoyd is the
Well, not
freaking
Hoyd himself, but
Hoyd is Elendi. Yes.
in the previous book, that was at the post-credit scene, correct? Am I remembering correct, or did
Yeah.
I mix the
He
name
just
up?
hopped into the pool and
Yeah.
portaled away.
There
So
was a beggar named Hoyd that Serini was using to sneak supplies into Elantris.
Yeah, I assumed it was the same guy. Yeah, I remember that. And that's
Unless
why
it's a
it's
common name
weird.
like Paul or something.
Yeah. It could I don't fucking know what that means, but it really
Maybe
gets
Hoyd.
me.
It's creepy. I'm all paranoid now.
Well, so is Vin. And it's
Yeah.
strange for the author to do this. Because I'm like, that name seems familiar. And then I'm like, I'm pretty sure I heard that before in either this or the last book. Sounds like it was both. And then they didn't go forward with it. That's what was weird.
Mm-hmm. Such a weird element. And I can't believe Vin got weird vibes from him. Like, I think that means something too.
Well, not just that she got weird vibes, that then the narrative itself said, we're not going to go do that. Like, that means something. If you just decided to not go do something that you just casually said you were going to do and I didn't really care about either way, that means that something weird is up.
Yeah, it's a little bit like it's a show and takeaway thing. Like, here it is.
Mhm.
No, we're not doing that. Like,
Yeah, you wouldn't do that if it was for no reason.
yeah, it's also a little reminder, this guy's still out here.
Mhm.
He was weird, like.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't remember him being that weird in the first book. Like, I didn't even really notice him.
He was a little eccentric, but not
Yeah.
like freaking otherworldly or something,
Mm-hmm. I don't know what the author wants us to think here, so I can't really comment much more.
All right, so then Vin is heading over to the Canton of Resource building, which is where the cache will be. Unfortunately, Yeoman has set up that building as his palace. So Vin decides that she needs to make plans with Elend before attempting to sneak into it. So then Vin begins heading towards the third informant when she notices that she is being followed. And the person that's following her is burning copper, but Vin is able to pierce it, which tells her that the person is a Mistborn, since they're burning copper
see?
and they're hopping around for the coins.
There you go, Sheta. That didn't take long.
Mm-hmm.
After a little bit of being chased, Vin pushes herself backwards towards them, but then they just vanish. And she remembers that there is something else that would give off an elementic pulse, and that would be the Mist Spirit. She knows the Mist Spirit is not ruin, but something else. She doesn't know if this was the Mist Spirit or not, but it did vanish very suddenly. And then Vin decides to head back to camp. And that's the end of our chapters for this week.
Ooh, new elements, new characters in play, maybe.
All right, anything else from this chapter you two want to go over?
No.
I'm excited because I'm excited for things to get rolling. Because so far we've been kind of establishing what the state of things are so far in the world, and now shit's going down.
All right, and then one thing I'll let you know as a fun fact, and anybody who's listening to this, who have listened to other Cosmere podcasts, you'll have heard this every single time, so you're probably sick of hearing about this. But Justin and Sheta haven't. So,
Wait,
so
is it a spoiler?
No. It's just a fun fact about the person she talks to, Slow Swift. It's supposed to be kind of Brandon Sanderson's. He's putting J.R.R. Tolkien into the story. That's supposed to be him. It's an older guy that likes to tell stories. He has that name, Slow Swift, which is similar to like a J.R.R. Tolkien style of naming characters.
Yeah, I can see that. That's interesting. His philosophy on stories and stuff. Yeah, and more. Yeah, I can see it. Interesting.
Yeah. Like I said, every podcast I've listened to with like first time readers, they always get told the same thing. And for me, listening to it, it's like, yes, I already know it, but you guys don't. So it's fun fact for you.
Yeah, interesting.
All right. Anything else from any of the chapters or stuff we read for this week that you two want to go over?
I just wanted to see more Kelsey here. But I guess we didn't really get a real good answer for that yet.
The writer knows you want to see more of him.
Yeah. Can't believe he just did that and jerked it away.
Of course he did.
And I forget, since we're reading through these so quick, like, we just started this book, basically. And
Well, we're on part 2.
it's just getting started, though, like I was saying.
Yeah, we're about a third of the way through the book.
Are we?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
you can't see the book. I always forget.
Is it shorter than usual?
No.
It's about I think it's about the same. It might be a tiny bit shorter than Well of Ascension by word count, but not really by much.
Okay. Cool.
All right. Well, let's venture on over, as Ellen Venture would want us to do, into the questions and predictions segment. So I guess my first question is, do you believe that the ATM is in Fadrex?
Yeah, why not?
I don't see. Yeah, I don't see
Yeah.
why it wouldn't be. Like a big. They've been jerking us around on it so much; it's hard for me to believe. But I don't see why they would be lying here.
Yeah, I think it's like a joke that at this point it's not funny anymore, so just give it to me kind of thing. like oh yes.
All right. How's TenSoon's escape plan work?
Swimmingly. I think they're gonna
Well,
get through.
he said it had the gift. He said, what's his name? Orseer, was that the original? Had the gift of something. He said earlier, like,
Ooh.
he had, like, I don't have it like him or something, or I think he even said he left it in his previous
I don't
body.
think he ate them. I don't think he ate the bones. Otherwise he wouldn't
I
have had the
remember him
power.
saying something about how he had left it somewhere, and then he gets his body back, and it sounds like he had left it in the bones somehow. So I think it's something to do with that. It was a while ago, but in the part before this part, I think I remember him saying something about that a long time ago. But
He could be lying too, because he knows he's being listened to, you know?
it wasn't the
Oh.
gift of perseverance, or
It was
what's the
a
one he
power.
has?
I think it's pewter.
So
No, it was
TenSoon has the blessing of presence,
Yep.
And that's like, he said that helped him to be able to keep his mind and not go insane when he was
I
Yeah.
think
hit
that's
for a while.
Tin.
And then
Okay, so you're talking about a different thing, Sheta.
and then Milan asked him, since he killed Orseer, if he has Orseer's blessing of potency. But
Yeah,
TenSoon doesn't
potency.
answer
That's what
him.
it was. Mm-hmm. Do you think those powers have to do with the metals?
Yeah,
I
for
didn't think of
sure.
that because we've just been
100%.
recently learning about those.
Mm-hmm.
But that makes a lot of sense.
Kelsier gave, the way he phrased it was, he gave Spook a blessing of 2.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you're right. I didn't think of that.
I think that's some old language of the same things.
Yeah, probably. You're very likely right. But either way, I think it's pretty simple that he obviously got it from where he left it in his body to do whatever that lets a Khandra do.
Will says it eventually become the leader of the terrorist people.
That or he'll die. I don't see a middle
You
ground.
can't die.
Well, like in a noble sacrifice.
I don't think he will. I think he's gonna run away again.
Really? Like in the long
Well,
run?
oh, in the long run? Oh, is that
As
the
opposed
question?
to, I mean, he's obviously not going to become it right now. He's leaving, you
Oh,
know?
okay. I could see it. I could see it going away right now because there's no in the long run. Like it's either now or never because the world is ending. So I think that he's either going to like man up and become the leader and like train all the terrorist people to get all badass and help fight, or he's going to run off and do some more research or something.
Well, he is running off to go to that city like he was asked to.
And then, how is this whole siege of Fadrex going to go? Because now Elend's shown up there. He wants to use diplomacy first, but he does also have this army and all these Koloss with him as well. So what's going to happen with all these things going on?
With what we know of that guy, obligator guy, I think he will take on Ellen's invitation for diplomacy. He's gonna invite Ellen and Vin to the ball, and they're just gonna hang out like old times and kind of talk about what's going on and stuff. I think might go smoothly.
I think you could be right about the first part, but I think that he is going to put them in a position where Elend has to start making some of the incredibly difficult decisions he keeps being worried he'll have to make, about dark, scary things,
Oh my god. He's gonna have to kill him.
Well, that's the least of it. Who cares about killing him? It's getting people killed from a war, people you don't want to kill,
He's gonna have to kill like
Like-
all the nobles.
I'm saying, like, having to send the Koloss against an actual city that's under siege, that would be, oh man, that would
Yeah.
not feel good. And I think that
Ooh.
either they're going to have to make that choice or be forced into that position, or be forced to come up with some other way, or be about to do all that, but then learn some great secret about ruin and stuff and realize that they're still just playing right into its hand by thinking
Ooh.
that way or something, I don't know.
Yeah, I like that. Maybe Vin will stop Ellen, but she'll be like, no, that's what it would want. We have to just leave it. Interesting.
Either way, I
wonder-
think
yeah.
it's very likely that the climax is here in this city because they're setting it up,
Yeah, that makes sense. Where else is it gonna be? It might be where the mines are, though. Terrace Town.
Yeah, it could be anywhere. I'm just thinking it could probably be here.
Yeah.
All right, and then one question for Sheta, because you said multiple times you had theories about who was writing the epigraphs, who this person that says they're the hero of ages is. So, what's your theory that you kept bringing up?
Never mind.
What do you mean,
No.
never mind? You said it like 3 times. I have a theory.
Yeah, but it's not sound, so I'm not gonna. I'll say it,
That's
but
that's the
gotta
one
be
people
made fun
love the
of.
most.
All right. It is that the epigraphs are being written by Alendi still because he has some kind of foresight into the far future where he knows Vin and Elend and everybody.
Are you saying a situation where, like, when they get the power, they transcend time? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So
But
and
then
he's
wouldn't he
kind
know
of
he was going to die?
Yeah, most of the time people like that do know that, you know,
He
because they
did. He
know.
definitely did not, though. The way he talked, he was really surprised, and he was
Well,
like,
maybe
"You
he
just
doesn't
fucked us all
know
over."
when it's gonna
That was
happen.
Justin.
Oh,
That's Rashik,
Hmm?
that's Rashik, not Elendi.
Yeah, well, I think that's obviously who Sheeta's talking about, right?
what? No,
Because
Elend.
Alendi never had the power. He was just a guy, right?
Yeah, but I feel like he's still the hero of ages, and he had some power, different power of his
Wait,
own.
oh, so you're talking about something totally different. You're saying that you believe people who are the hero of ages can see through time somehow?
Oh, I guess I didn't say this part out loud, but I I always thought the hero of ages has the preservation powers, and then whoever went to the well and got the ruin powers are different.
Why in God's name would anyone know you were saying that?
So
Okay,
he,
so
yeah,
so that's totally different. Okay, so you think that he went to the well, he started to do the thing. Rashik took the power and tried to kill him, but couldn't kill him, and now he's out there somewhere, but he has a knowledge that we don't know he has. Is that what you're trying to say? Okay,
because
that's a whole complex fan theory I was not aware you had.
he is secretly Hoid.
Okay.
So technically, it would be Hoid slash Elend who's writing those. So that's that.
Okay. I can't say anything to disprove that, so, because it's pretty off the wall.
That's not crazy, right? Because the Lord Ruler's alive and he's old as shit. So
The thing you have of that idea, I do not believe it, but it is not crazy, The Hoyd
okay,
thing,
that's good.
that's a bit far for me to follow. Only because there is no B between that A and C, The other one I
The
can see the
B,
B.
the B is that he's a mysterious element that keeps
Yes, that's
getting brought
not a
up.
B. That is the underpants gnome thing. The A steal profit, B C, or the A steal underpants, B C profit. That's what that is.
Also,
The
we do
B,
know why the Lord Ruler was alive so long.
yeah. So there's ways. I mean, saying there would be
Yeah, I
some
get what you're
way.
saying. I do not agree with it.
That's
But I
fine.
think it's interesting. A transcending time thing could be possible because of how we saw the 11th metal work, where it could see like an alternate, Oh, fuck. Yeah. All right.
Mm-hmm. See.
No,
Just
so
like
it would be. I don't know. It would be a. Oh, I don't even want to say it because I feel like it's true now. I
you see what
implied
I
enough
see.
that I can say it later and the viewer will know if that I wasn't bullshitting. So,
Nope,
yes.
nope. Say it now.
No, for Sheeta's purposes.
Well, it's
It
my
just seems too
theory.
likely. No, this is
Yeah,
not your theory. This is a different theory. I
but you
think that
based it
anyone
off
who knows
my
the thing,
finding.
if I'm even close, knows that I'm saying something that is very correct, and we'll see later. Yeah, we'll see. Let me think on it more. Maybe I'll say it later.
Oh, okay.
You're just covering your tracks.
No, I don't think so. I'm very curious though.
Because once it gets
Maybe later in
revealed
the
that
book.
because once it gets revealed that Goradel is the hero of ages, Justin's gonna be like, "See, that was my idea."
Yeah, I
Okay,
put in
who's
seeds, so
Goradel?
you'd think that.
Do we have to explain this every week? Goradel's the
Yeah,
guy that was in front of Creedic Shaw when Ben went in, and she convinced him to leave. He ripped off his patch. They later brought Elend back.
Yeah, just like I
yeah, I'm
figured
sick of
all
that. I'm
along.
sick of describing it to you, Justin.
Just like I figured
Just
all along.
yeah, no.
All right. Do you two have any other theories or predictions you want to throw out there?
Well, I think I said all my major ones.
No other ones.
All right. And here, I thought of one other fun thing to do with this. I will not answer the question, but both of you just ask one question that you really want to know the answer to.
Oh,
Ooh, okay. Is that really Kelsey? That's probably my
yeah,
biggest
no, same
question.
question. Same exact
Copycat.
question.
Can't copy me.
That's the most curious thing. Is that Kelsier? Is it something taking his form,
Hmm.
I actually forgot to say I have half a theory about preservation maybe preserving Kelsier to be as his agent. Maybe there's something with that, but that's pretty damn vague. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's my
I'm
thing
really
with the
curious.
souls.
What thing with the souls?
That the souls of people who died are kept in there and used to like talk to people and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah, we've talked about some of that afterlife stuff. Yeah,
Mhm.
but I'm wondering if maybe that's not how it is. And maybe preservation can preserve certain identities or something in the mists or something.
But
The mist didn't like. Yeah, I think your mist thing might be. This is tough. Now I'm wondering if the mists are part of preservation, Sheta, because we said he didn't. The mist didn't like Zane, correct?
I liked
And now
him.
they're not. They did like him. I thought we just said they didn't like him.
They were leaving him to go to Vin at that one part. Oh, that's my theory. They were leaving him when
I'm
they
not
were
talking
at
about
the.
theories. We just talked
Okay.
about this earlier in the episode. Did I hear that wrong? When you were saying that the mists go towards
Yeah, Vin noticed
just
when I can't remember if it was when they were going into Set's Manor or before they fought at the end, but she noticed the mists seemed to be moving away from.
yeah.
You know,
So that makes me wonder now if the mists are an element of preservation actually and not ruin. And they are, like you were saying, Shita, moving away from Vin because she's getting more destructive, I wonder. Maybe they're actually killing the 16% of people who are just destructive evil monsters.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't
so
know.
so Damu is a destructive evil monster.
He
Well,
survived.
ruin and destruction are not a bad thing, I should say. They're a necessary thing. He is, yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
I,
he's
I
general
want
of a
more
big army.
soldiers than that to be of ruin. I probably got nothing there, but I'm starting to get really fucking paranoid. That's what I'm noticing here. Holy God, yeah. I'm getting more paranoid than I got with the frickin' Who is the Khandra. Because now you can't trust the very foundations, not just of the religion, not just of people, and not just of gods and stuff. You can't trust the foundation of any element of reality because it can be changed, and it was changed. So who knows
Yes.
what's what, and from what like bajillion-year-old like entity or hero who did this or that. Like the rules that I take in the real world here, I can't take those for granted in this world. So I'm getting really
Now you're
paranoid. I'm
getting it,
realizing,
Justin.
yeah, yeah.
Yep. This is
Everyone's
me
trying to.
freaking out.
Mm-hmm. The Chandra are of, or not the Chandra are of the mists, so maybe the mists are a good thing. That's all I'm saying. We'll see.
I think the miss is just used by whoever. I don't think it's a set thing. I think it's like they're saying it's just like weather. Everyone can use the miss for good or ill.
Yeah, but like they say, the mists come over, and that's what's causing the crops and shit to die, right? Like that's their theory. But what if it's coming out to fight what's making the crops and stuff die? This is literally just random speculation. This is an average Sheta theory. I have nothing to back it up,
Fuck
so we
you.
should just move on.
I take offense to that.
No.
Have
Some of your
actual
theories are
thought.
really, really good. Some of them involve time travel, and I get really confused and
That
cannot
is
follow
not
what you're saying.
baseless, okay? Because gold can make you see different times.
You're absolutely correct. It's not totally baseless.
It's not baseless.
But it was when you said it. It was baseless when you said it. Because that was
That is.
before that.
Can't you just admit that I have powerful like insight and stuff?
We'll see at the end of this book. Then we'll
All
really
right.
know. You have a knack for noticing details that I gloss over. That is for sure. When those details aren't about someone being killed. If they're about actual story relevant stuff, you're the master at that currently.
Or if the details have to do with ships.
Like relationships, yes.
Oh, ships. No, you're not good at that one. No, God, no.
Mhm. I called it
Oh, I
that.
guess
Vin. Yeah. See.
Yeah, I guess you picked up on the love triangle earlier. Yeah, that is true.
Yes, I can smell a ship from a mile away.
Yeah, but she also shipped that every single guy in Elantris was gonna fall in love with Serene.
And I think they do by the end of the book. They die for her. So,
What?
they died for her. They accepted her as their queen and stuff. It counts it.
Oh God. Sereni and Elantris. For some reason, I heard totally wrong. Just okay.
All right.
I thought we were talking about this book, and you were talking about Ariane. I was very
Oh,
confused.
no.
All right.
Yes, no, I
Alright.
would say that most of the guys, kind of, they would love Sereni if they were younger and more, and she wasn't in mourning, So I could see that one.
All right. Well, we'll move on to our next segment. A new segment I've thought up of.
Oh,
It's
shit.
called. This segment is called On the Spot Improvisational Poetry by Justin. Go.
I'm
not hearing poetry.
To smell
no.
a winter rose in bloom is greater than the furthest bloom. No, that was the first one I said.
Moon.
Is
Sheta,
more
you
beautiful
can't
than
Oh, sorry.
is more beautiful than a nightly moon. To be without such stunning sight
Everyone's left now.
is to have eternal blight. There we go. There's my on the spot poem. It kind of makes sense.
So how does that tie in with this book?
Wait, was it supposed to? It is that though things may seem dreary, they're actually there's stuff that isn't, and you should appreciate it, or you'll be like Sazed. There we go. Do not ever do that to me again. I never.
It's a weekly thing now. That's what we're doing now.
That was the best part of all this.
Dear Lord.
All right. Well, next I'm going to bring up some comments we've gotten over the past week. All right, so I'll just go through these comments in the order of the episodes. First one was from our Final Empire, chapter 6 through 18. This comment is from Adelg8. Crazy how Sheta says the difference between 16 and 21 is too much, but she's been shipping Vin, 16, and Kelsier, 36.
Wait, what is too much? Oh.
That you said that Vin and Elend were too far apart at 16 and 21. But you were completely fine with Vin and Kelsier.
Well, they had a lot of chemistry, I think.
Stop. Don't try to explain it. You're only going to make it look worse.
So next will be the Final Empire, chapters 31 through 34. Same person, Adel8. It's insane that Sheta comes up with some crazy, most outlandish predictions, then hits some of them right on the nail.
Yeah. That's your
That's
real
almost
power,
like a real...
Sheta. You throw so much stuff out there that it's amazing. Like, it's really fast. I would actually like to go inside your head and see how it works when you're reading these stories, because every time that I write you off as making no sense at all, suddenly you say something that I'm like, holy shit, that might be it, It's an impressive power.
I don't know whether to take that as a compliment or not. It sounds like
It's
I'm
not a
just
compliment.
crazy.
It's a fact. No. You I think you just imagine a lot while reading, right?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said before, by the nature of the podcast, with the fact that you're reading in small amounts, you have a lot to just sit there and just think. It's like, what the hell does this mean? Instead of just going... Normally, if you're reading a book, you may think some stuff as you're going, but you just go to the next chapter. Here, it's like, all right, you have a week just to let this stew in your mind, and then your mind just starts going crazy places.
Oh, yeah. I've never read a book like this before. It is kind of driving me crazy. I'm like...
Yeah.
Wait, Sheta, is that why your theories are being pretty good? Because normally you read a book much faster?
Yeah, like before I really
because
kind of...
you're reading it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get a chance to think anything over, but now your brain's in overdrive because it's like, what happens?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, thinking, ruminating over something that happened or a little detail.
Mm-hmm.
So in the middle of the night, I'm like, oh my God, I know what happened. Like,
I really wonder if you were reading the actual book, if you would have caught the twist of the second one,
I think so. I think...
Well, don't say I
think
so. You can't know that. But...
I didn't say I would. I said I think I might, because
yeah.
I was completely out of I didn't out of that one. Like I was kind of mad that I didn't get to experience that. So I might start doing both. Like since I do listen through the episodes twice or the books twice, sometimes I might just read through it the second time or the first time, just so I can experience that.
All right. So next we have with our Well of Ascension, chapters 12 through 16. Once again, Adelg 8. I just noticed I never got an ad in this podcast. Thank you, guys.
Oh.
You must have missed all the times I kept trying to shill White Castle.
That doesn't count, does it?
Or the fact that Justin claimed that he got
sponsored by the George Orwell estate.
It's stupid.
Or me just telling everyone to, hey, go get the Shonen Jump app. Yeah, no actual ads though.
No, we've got ads laced all throughout. We just subtly put them in so they're only subconscious. If you look at the starting letter of every sentence from our opening, it always says Subway Eat Fresh every single time.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Justin, don't give it away.
Every time I sign off, every single time, if you put all the third letter from every word in, it says Raid Shadow Legends. Every single time. Do it.
Oh, man. I certainly picked a bad time to pick up the Honey sponsorship.
Oh, fuck, no.
All right. Next, we will go to the Hero of Ages, chapter 6 through 13. From Matthew Grady, 5895. Polar Express here. Because I think this was the one where we were saying our favorite Christmas movie.
Oh, yay.
Right.
That's a good one.
And Sheta picking Elend? Oh boy, 2025 is going to go horribly. This is a sign of destruction.
What picking him for what? What was
you picked him for your character of the week?
Yeah.
Oh,
you're always so anti-Elend all the time.
Oh my god, I'm not anti-Elend. I'm just.
You literally said you were. I was shocked when you picked that. I was really surprised, Sheta.
Oh no, I'm never gonna live it down.
It just shows that she's open-minded to Elend.
Yeah, I'm growing, guys.
It's a character arc.
It's new year, new me.
Mm-hmm. And then next will be our episode that we released last week. So now people can kind of tell our little gap that we had is kind of gone away. All right, so this one's gotten a bunch. First, once again, Matthew Grady, 5895. First of all, Earth's Mightiest Hero is the GOAT of Marvel shows/animation.
Yeah.
Secondly, ironic that the episode after Justin said, I'm done with the Kelsier and time travel theories, that this happens.
Yeah, I know. That's so funny.
All right, that one I'll save till we're done with the book. Now here's one from DM7324. Oh, my weekly dose of insane theories is here. All right. And then we have...
We just did a bunch of insane theories, so I enjoy.
Yeah, what theory was so crazy last week? I don't remember.
I think he's just saying that. I think he's just saying that our podcast usually has a bunch of insane theories.
Oh God, yeah.
All right. Next will be Darcy7257. Hearing Sheta call Spook creepy after simping for Zane and the Kelsier Vin romance is giving me whiplash.
Oh, that's true.
He was edging on creepy, but I think he's okay. He hasn't done anything yet. Well, he did go and hold her hand, which is really creepy.
All right, and then another comment from Darcy7257. This one is all caps. Wait, what? Then 10 minutes later, it's about Vin and TenSoon dating?
Oh no, I forgot about that. Oh God, Sheta, no.
God, you made me spit out my water.
You're the one who did it.
I know. I didn't know I said it out loud to anybody.
Even if you just thought it, Jesus.
Oy. Joe, what are you doing to me? I'm now gonna have a bad name because of this.
What do you mean now?
No, like making me read and then sit on these things and have me think about them for a long time. I'm gonna have all these.
Yeah,
All right.
Sheta, I'm doing that too. You haven't heard me ship anyone weird, I hope.
Yes, that's just proving my point more, Justin.
Oh, Justin just seems to come up with more darker endings for books.
Yeah, that's what you like.
I don't know. I don't think this book's gonna end that dark. Have I said everyone's gonna die? I don't think so.
All right.
Gosh.
All right, so that's all the comments and stuff we've gotten from people. So now let's go into our characters and quotes of the week. So characters first.
Oh shoot. I'm gonna have to pick Spook for this one. For seeing his cute origin and his relationship with clubs, and then also him kind of um, exploring, having new powers. I like that. He is becoming a main character.
I think so too. I think he's being pivoted to be like a really important character. Character. I almost want to pick Demu just for surviving.
Woo to moo! I'm glad he's not
But
dead.
yeah, I think I have to go with TenSoon for deciding to go against his people and not spend eternity in a frickin' pit or whatever, and knowing exactly how to play the people he's working against to, hopefully get out of this and help everyone. Oh, and he promised to give Vin information on all this mysterious stuff, and I want to hear it very badly.
He was pretty badass.
Mm. Promising to reveal mysteries to me will make you a character that I will like every time.
What a pick me.
But then, huh? What a pick me. What? You saying TenSoon is?
Yeah. Like,
I don't know
pick
about
me,
that.
I'll tell you mysteries.
Well, my character, I'm going to go with Vin. I liked all her stuff with her trying to think through everything with Ruin and trying to figure out, all right, he's not omnipotent. He has reasonings. Just trying to piece it all together and figuring out a way that, all right, we can fight this guy. And then her going through the city, talking with the people, getting a weird feeling from Hoyd. All that I thought was pretty cool to read.
Mhm.
All right. So now quotes.
Oh, I'm bad. I didn't get an actual quote, but I like the part with Vin talking with J.R. Tolkien about stories and stuff. That's the part I like. I would have picked a quote from there.
You want me to read? Which part do you want? I've got the book.
Sure.
I've got it open right here.
Okay,
Which
yeah.
part are you looking for?
Just something about the nature of stories or something.
So do you like the part where it was, actually, I said a story itself shouldn't be a cost. That is a very different from a story costing something. And while some will argue, I believe that a story without cost is one considered worthless. Does that count? Or no?
That's exactly the one that I was thinking of.
Oh, there you go.
Good job, Justin.
I'm sure that's the only reason, Vid said, smiling as she tossed some coin.
How cheeky.
I had that because that was one of my quotes too, so...
Ah, nice.
Or like one of my backup ones. So for mine, it's something you touched upon, Joe, but it's them saying, they say he's going to get rid of coins. He's making plans to gather them all up, keep them in his treasury. That's foolish, another voice replied. He minted his own coins. Why take them now? It's true, the first said. I seen him speak on it myself. He says that men shouldn't have to rely on coins, that we should have everything together, not having to buy and sell. The Lord Ruler never let Ska have coins either, another voice grumbled. I thought that was so funny. When just the people on the streets being sold all this stuff and then just boil it down so simply to the Lord Ruler didn't let us either. I guess we're just doing that again.
So they are smart and aware of that shit.
Well, somebody's gonna be. But the other guy was kind of like, he's he says this,
Yeah, he just downloaded the update.
Yeah, well, he didn't seem like he'd run through the thought fully in his head yet.
I just mean some people will drink the juice and some people will always despise it,
All right, my quote, it's Vin just retrospectively thinking while she's going through Fadrex. Somehow, among the fall of kings and collapse of worlds, she had grown into a woman. Once she had been terrified of change. Then she had been terrified of losing Elend. Now her fears were more nebulous. Worries of what would come after she was gone. Worries of what would happen to the people of the Empire if she failed to divine the secrets she thought. she thought. She turned from her contemplation of the large castle-like keep, pushing herself off a chimney brace and into the night. Tending those balls in Luthadel had changed her dramatically, leaving a residual effect that she'd never been able to shake. Something within her had responded instantly to the dancing of the parties. For the longest time, she struggled to understand how that part of her fit into the rest of her life. She wasn't certain she knew the answer. Was Valette Renew, the girl she had pretended to be at the balls, really a part of Vin, or no more than a fabrication devised to serve Kelsier's plot? I just liked it because it shows how things have changed for Vin. She talks about, being weak and scared and then wanting to save Elend and all that, and then also thinking about the balls and if Valette Renew is her or not. Just all these worries that she's had in the past book. She's thought about the same stuff in Well of Ascension. It's still there, and even though she's a lot more confident and stuff and knows what she wants, there's still parts of her that still wonders who she is, and I think that's just an interesting part of the story for her.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's our Vin. Always having an identity crisis.
Well, as long as it's not Siler level identity crisis.
Every fucking episode.
No, he would figure it out for like 3 episodes.
This is who I am now. Never mind.
Wait,
Yeah,
who am
pretty
I?
much.
I'm Siler. Wait, no. Who am I? I know who I am. I'm Siler. All right. So now we'll look into the future. So for next week, we'll be reading chapters 28 through 33.
13. Yes, I can't wait to read tonight.
Yep.
Maybe I'll get my answers.
You probably
won't.
won't.
No, I won't. Then I'll have to sit on that for a week.
You'll likely get most of your answers in the end of the book.
Maybe that's why I'm not reading a book, because I'm just going to be tempted to read ahead.
All right. So we've got that. So let's go on to plugs.
Yeah. Okay, so my Instagram for my art is Sheta_low. And then my other Instagram for cosplays and fashion things is my Mermaid Machete Instagram. And I'm hoping to post some pictures of my new cosplay for this year's anime convention that we're going to go to. So keep an eye out for that.
Justin, are you there?
He's building himself up.
I'm there. I'm building myself up. That's right. Well, just remember, always investigate daring scribbles having a dependence over what lovely, enticing girls express, and that's as far as I got. I'm sorry. I couldn't do the whole thing.
What are you
So just go to
talking
Profanity
about?
Beaver. I was 3 letters short.
Oh, he's doing a trick. You're creepy.
Okay. Well, for the normal Cosmere Chronicle stuff, as usual, if you're listening to someplace where you can rate us, review us, do that. It probably helps us out in some way. Gets more people to be able to find us easier. If you have a place where you can read comments, go ahead and do that. And I will read them live on the air like I did here. If you want to talk to us on Key Amongst Ancient Letter, formerly known as Twitter, you can follow us there at CosmereChron, CosmereChron, or also on Blue Sky, Cosmere Chronicles. You can go on there as well. Or if you want to be old-fashioned, you can also send us an email, cosmerechronicles@gmail.com.
Oh, God. Have we reached the world where the email is old-fashioned?
If you want to be really old-fashioned and you have a carrier pigeon, just send that, too. If you just give them a note, tell them to go to Cosmere Chronicles, it should be able to figure it out.
Yeah, say, find Joe. You know what to do. You just throw him in the air. I always wonder that in Harry Potter when they send their owls out.
Well, the owls are magical. That's totally different.
I know, but some of them are dumb, like Errol. Like, how do they figure it out?
Well, I always wondered because weren't they told, like, oh yeah, you can bring a frog, an owl, or a rat with you. What the hell did the rat and the frog do for those kids? Like, an owl brought you letters and shit.
Well, yeah,
What
it's the most useful one.
I don't
That's
know.
why
Maybe
Neville
it has
is
some
made
magical
fun of.
properties too. Really?
Yeah,
What?
Neville's made
Okay,
fun of. And Hagrid even says Toads went out of fashion ages ago.
okay. Granted, I guess with toads, I have read Naruto, so toads can be useful.
Yeah, see? And cats are just cute to have around, so
All
they're
right.
really
Well,
good familiars. Just like Salem.
all right. So that's going to be about it that we have for you folks this week. Be sure to come back next week and listen to us again. And we'll see what happens in this book. So everyone,
Yeah,
go out
don't
there.
make it sound too fun though, Joe.
Go out there, have fun. Yeah. And if your local White
Yeah.
Castle's still open, go eat there. One near us has closed.
That sucks.
No, it's probably for the best. If a fucking White Castle closes, how bad were they doing? Like, their service, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I'm
it,
usually thankful when they're not open too.
it's a White
What?
Castle. It's a White Castle that closed right before Valentine's Day. And they take reservations for Valentine's Day for some weird reason.
Oh no, were those your plans, Joe? Just kidding.
If I brought a date to White Castle, I don't think we would be dating for much longer.
Well, I can choose between a 5-star restaurant or White Castle. What do I think she'd like more?
Man, if she had a good sense of humor, that's the one. That's the one.
All right. Well, yep, that's it, everyone. Go out there, have fun, and bye.
Bye. See you
Sayonara,
next week.
suckers.